Waiting for it to go live here. Hey, good morning, everybody. Hello. Hey, it's Becky from Power Tools with Thread. You are in our Stitchuation room. This is a Monday through Friday virtual stitching retreat where you hang out with me in here and follow me on my sewing journey. And I hope I can inspire you to put something under the needle. Let me see, I'm trying to get this to come live so that I can make sure that you guys can see what I'm doing. There it is. Awesome. 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 Good morning, everybody in the chat. Hello, Frito. Yes, baby. Frito came up underneath me, pawing me like this. You're a sweet girl, baby. This is my little rescue, Frito. I'm not going to show you my husband. He's in his boxers this morning. So there's my baby girl. Yeah, we want a Frito visit. Don't be shy. Come over here. That's a good girl. There you go. Yes. She's our little Queensland stumpy tail cattle dog. And she's a rescue we got from our local shelter back in Texas. There we go. Yeah, good girl. Go brush your teeth. Bye-bye. Okay. We had our Frito visit. Good to see you guys this morning. Hello, hello. Yeah, wiggle butt. I know, Nita. That's exactly what she is. She's a little wiggle butt. No, you're not a wiggle butt, dear. So I am in my motorhome here. We have actually been on the road for more than a month, traveling around and doing some snap-applique classes and whatnot. And today is Thursday, August 7th, and 2025. If you're watching next year, hi, welcome. And I am going to be doing a lecture demo tomorrow night at Oh So Pretty in Opp, Alabama. Well, not actually at the store. It's at a church, a Grace building. And then Saturday, I've got a 6-hour class, and I understand that it is full with a waiting list. And so that's really exciting. I'm so happy for those of you that were able to get into it. And I am working. Hey, there's a new Texas girl. Let's see here. Let's see. Where'd she go? There you are. There. Hi. Oh, maybe a gentleman. I can tell. Those little icons are so small. Lady or gent, I can't tell, but welcome. I'm glad you're here. So I am in talks with the Sewing Center Maitland store to head to Florida. Again, right now we're in the panhandle of Florida to teach a couple of classes the last weekend of February, if possible. So I'm going to give them a call today and get that worked out. So I wanted to touch on something. I'm going to squirrel just for a second. Michelle, I know you're having trouble with your mats on your scan and cut. Double check next to each one of those black roller wheels. There is, or on one of them, there is a little lock. Okay, if your wheel is not pulling that, if it's getting pulled in cattywampus, make sure that lock is tight. Sometimes that can be a problem. You can unlock them, move them around, clean those wheels really well. They might have some kind of residue on them that they're not gripping the mat, and make sure everything is nice and clean on that, and then tighten that lock back up. See if that doesn't help you. Okay, yeah. Gina says she can get the to Maitland. Is it at the sewing studio? The plan is right now, I'm not confirmed with them just yet. I've got to talk to Eric today. So I got to get that going because I need to get some RV reservations made. The weekend before is the Daytona Quilt Show. Leave me a comment if you're going to go to that. So I don't think I'll be there. But anyway, so, well, hi, Elda. How are things down in Australia? I understand you guys are getting really a lot of rain. So I hope everything is okay with you guys. I see Quilt Wench is back. She is doing her hellos to everybody that she can catch. Sometimes the chats go by so fast. If you're new, let us know in the chat and say hi. We've got a welcoming committee that will give you big virtual hugs. So good to see you guys. And if you're watching on the replay, thank you so much. Leave me a comment. Let me know. I love to hear from my replay crew. Okay, so we got all that out of the way. Yeah.
Somebody asked if you're going to do a class in San Antonio.
If I'm going to do a class in San Antonio, I might. I'd have to check. I can get with the folks maybe at All Brands. They have a really good classroom and they're not too far from the airport. So it's really good for folks who are traveling from out of town. But we might can do something like that. I don't know. We'll have to check it out. Or I can find somewhere else to do as well. So yesterday, excuse me. Oh, sorry. I shouldn't touch that. You guys can hear that. So yesterday I spent some time working on the Autumn Love embroidery quilt by Lori Holt. I'm going to share my screen with you guys so you can see exactly what this looks like. I'm going to just do this window right here. This was a quilt. Well, this is actually the final block layout, the finished size chart. But this, let me get up here. There we go. So this right here is a quilt, but Riley Blake also made an embroidery version. And this is what we are working on. There's a lot of you doing it with me. And so we're making our way through it. The last block that I did with you guys to design in Embrilliance was to put together the scarecrow and his little apple basket. So the technique, if you want to, and you have Embrilliance Essentials, you can look at this bonus up at the top. It says bonus finish size chart. And you can look at that and take a look. This is the 6x10 version. If I scroll down, I don't know if you guys can see you can't see that scrolling. Anyway, so this is what we're working on. Now the corn and the milk can with the little mice, which is just precious, is going to be the exact same process to blend together. These are 5x5 blocks that get blended into a 5x10 rectangle. So that's what I did. Let me stop sharing that and get back to this. So do I ever quilt as you go on a Lori Holt applique? Do I have any videos on that? I have not done a quilt as you go on a Lori Holt applique, Amber. I did, no, I do all of my Lori Holt quilts like with simple shapes for her applique. And I do those just as regular blocks, but I have the no-show mesh in the background because I snap-applique those, okay? So I don't have any batting behind them. But anyway, here is my little scarecrow. Yay! Isn't he cute? He turned out great. Very, very pleased with it. Here you go. I'll get up close so you can take a look at the decorative stitching in the apple basket, which is super cute. I love that. Turned out adorable. And the decorative stitching in the patches. This is just so cute. Now, this is not snap-applique. This is a pre-existing embroidery design. So all I did was cut out the pieces with the scan and cut, and it worked out just perfect. Will I show how to join my finished blocks? Absolutely, I will do that. Yeah. Oh, this block sold you. Now you're going to get it. Okay. You know, some folks were kind of concerned. The USB for this is around $90 to $100, depending on where you buy it from. But you guys, look at all the designs that are in it. It's crazy. And then I'm not doing mine the way the directions say to, because I'm doing mine as a quilt as you go. So also there have been a lot of questions in our Facebook group about this apple down here. So let me get that way up there and let you see it close. The apple. That apple is supposed to be in the seam allowance. So you can see two lines right here. Okay, there's two lines on this one. The inner line, that inner border right there, that's the 5x10. The outer line that you can see right there, there's, like I said, there's two of them. They're hard to see. The outer line is the background quilting. That was as small as I could get it because I didn't save it on a USB from Embrilliance. I actually ended up adding the background quilting in. I don't know what I was doing, y'all. So I brought up the design in a 5x10. I had that without the background quilting, and it was in the machine. And then I was like, oh, I forgot the background quilting. So I did an ad and pulled it in, and it is a hoop filler from Designs by Juju, and it needed to be, and it came in as a 6x10. So I used the resize on the embroidery machine to size it down, and the smallest it got was, I think it was like 10 1/4 or some. Anyway, it's too big, but it's not a big deal. This is all going to be in the seam allowance, so you won't see it at all. And the way I'm doing mine is to, they want, yes, Dave, if we come to Maitland, we're bringing Frito. Yes, we will. And Keith, he's driving. So, what I'm doing with mine, because I have put together so many of these kind of tiled scenes, whether they're from Designs by Juju, where you do her placemats, or her tree skirts, or maybe you're doing OESD's tiling scene, or one from Anita Good Design. Yes, I'm saying, Joanne, 5x10. Okay, 5x10 is the finished block size. So I used a 6x10 hoop filler at the machine and shrunk it down to make it fit. But that 5x10 line, I make a 5x10 line around it, and I'm going to show you how I do that here in a little bit. That I will use that to pin my corners together so they match exactly, and then I'm going to use a single needle width to stitch right inside of that 5x10 line. And when that is all, when they're all the same like that, they go together. It works every time. So you just have to make sure. But now this background quilting design is, hold up so you guys can see it. Let me get it. This is the chicken wire. Okay. And this is from Designs by Juju. I have links below to all of the background quilting designs that I'm doing. But so today I want to show you how I'm going to do all of the sashing. I want to share my screen with you guys. So this quilt, again, it's the embroidery version of the quilt. It comes in 3 different sizes. You can use a 6x10, which is the wall hanging, okay, and that's a hoop size. You can use an 8x12 or a 9x14. Now, I only have a 6x10 hoop with me here in my motorhome. I'm going to be home next week, and that's when I'm going to finish it out with larger hoops. Okay, I'm going to do a couple of them here, but I'm going to finish this out with larger hoops. All right. I need a sip of coffee. So I'm going to share my screen with you guys. I want to show you. Let me see. I'm going to do this and share. And like I said, let's see. All right. So this is the bonus finished size chart from Riley Blake. And you can find this on their website in their freebies section under machine embroidery. So it's got 4 pages of it. I'm going to scroll down. Y'all can see your chat off to the side. I wanted to make it just a little bit bigger. There we go. Y'all can see my screen. Yeah, that's what I'm doing here. So this 6x10, this is the finished block size. So this is where I got the number 5x10 to make my scarecrow and the apple basket. Okay. And same goes over here for the corn and the milk can with the mice, 5x10. So this lets you see what your finished size block needs to be. If you're doing quilt as you go like me, this is where my final seam line is, and I'm going to stitch 1 needle width right inside that seam line so that that seam finishes in the seam allowance. That stitch line finishes in the seam allowance. Now, if you're not doing quilt as you go, you're going to have a 5x10 line on there. You should, or you can mark it yourself, okay, and then cut a 1/2 inch larger all the way around so you have plenty of seam allowance. But what I need to do here, we have a lot of 1x5s, okay? We have sashing 1x5s. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them here. And then we've got them in between. There's 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm going to scroll up. 11, 12, 13, and 14 1x5 sashings. So I want to make those in Embrilliance. And I've only got to make one and then copy and paste them multiple times. And if you've got a larger hoop, you can do a bunch of these at once for efficient stitching, which I love. So let me pull up the Embrilliance and get that working. There is a little hoop, and I'm going to show you guys how I did this. Let me see here. Make sure I'm going to check my chat and make sure everything is going good. Awesome. All right. Everything's working good here. I can see you guys. Good morning, everybody popping in. Great to see you. All right. So when you're going to create a, let's see, when you're going to create an odd shape like that, okay, so that's 1x5. That's a really weird shape for an embroidery design. I'm going to go, this is Embrilliance Essentials. And what we have right here, if you look at this hoop, you can see down here at the bottom, it says hoop 1x5. I built this hoop to make sure that the embroidery design was going to fit. So, because I need my background quilting in my sashing. And again, I've got a link to that below. So I am going to be using, let me go into my preferences. And you tell Embrilliance what kind of hoop you want to use right here in this little drop down. Okay, you can see I've made my cursor pink for you guys so y'all can see what I'm doing. And if you have if you have a Janome embroidery machine, you would choose the Jeff and your hoops will change. This is how Embrilliance knows what file format to save your embroidery designs in. Okay, if you have, notice there's not an ART on here. If you have a Bernina, use the PES. Okay, Bernina reads PES machines. I'm going to highlight Sash the 1x5. I'm going to delete it. Okay, I'm just going to delete that and click OK. All right. So let's see here. Let me pull this back down. Now we can see I'm on some kind of weird hoop. That was from Happy Halloween, I'm pretty sure. If you hold your space bar down, you will get a hand and you can pan around. It's very, very cool. So I want a 1x5 sash. I want a 1x5 hoop so I can see exactly how my sashing is going to fit. So I'm going to create a hoop for every one of those sashing pieces. Now, let me go. Okay. I'm going to stop sharing for a second. Let me see. I want to do, yeah. So hoops, if you're going to build a new hoop in Embrilliance, it has to be in millimeters, okay? And I want to go to Google. I'm going to show you guys. I use this all the time, okay? And I'm going to show you how to make hoops. I need a 1x5 hoop because I need to make sure that my background quilting is going to fit in there. Now, the background quilting that I'm using for my sashing, I'm going to show you that. I've got it linked below in the description box. It's Designs by Juju. It's called Pumpkin and Swirls. And this is the background quilting I'm going to use. And it comes in all kinds of sizes. But the smallest size that it comes in is a 2-inch wide. And that's too big. So I'm going to use the tools in Embrilliance to shrink it down so it will fit and look pretty in my sashing, okay? So regardless of which version you're making, you can do this, okay? And you just have to set the size according to the final block size that we looked at on that PDF. Okay. So super cute. Let me see here. Yeah, I'm going to be using my 10 needle for sure when I go back and do that. Yeah, absolutely. I've got a 9x14 hoop on my 10 needle, and I'm just going to make a whole bunch of those sashings. Very efficient. Okay, so I'm going to go to Google. And I'm going to type in inch to millimeter, and it comes up conversion. And it comes up already with 1 inch is 25.4 millimeters. So I took my little notepad, okay, and I wrote 1 inch equals 25.4 millimeters. And now I'm going to put in 5, and 5 inches equals 127 millimeters. And I wrote that down on my little paper, okay? That's how simple that is. So now that I know, I can stop sharing that with you guys. Now let's go into Embrilliance and make a hoop, okay? Does that make sense? Hope wants to know, can I bring those edge-to-edge designs into Embrilliance, save them as a QLI file to use on the long arm? Give it a shot. Quilting with Harriet has been successful with that. I believe, could you not create an endless hoop? Yes, you can, Pamela, but I got 1x5 blocks, and I'm doing quilt as you go. Yes. All right, so let's jump into Embrilliance, and I'll show you how to do that. I want to do this, and I want this one. Hopefully that works. Okay. This is how you guys can see my my pop-ups and whatnot. Great. That didn't work the way I wanted, but what the heck, I'll do it. So you want to come up here to your properties. It's a yellow folder. It's a little shortcut. You can also get to properties by going to Embrilliance and is it here settings or utility? Anyway, edit. It depends. I'm on a Mac, you guys, so it's different. So let's just use the yellow box. I need to create a new hoop. So you can just click new and name. I'm going to call it 1-sash. Oh, no, hold on. 1x5 autumn love _ sash. I'm going to make different hoops for that. Okay. So like one of the sashing pieces is like 1x22.5. That's odd, but you can make it work here. Okay. So my width is 25.4 and my height is 127. And I'm going to click OK. All right. There it is right there at the bottom. 1x5 autumn love sash. Apply. I'm going to select it. Okay. And apply. There it is. Okay. So why do I have that little weird hoop? Little thing. Why is that doing that? That's strange. Escape. Huh. That's weird. Okay. Make this just a little bit bigger. Okay. So now I have the boundaries for my background fill on my sashing. I'm going to open and I want to go to my background sashing. I have it on my desktop in Autumn Love. I don't know where my backgrounds went. Let me click on my recents. No, that didn't. Oh, y'all, I'm getting used to this Finder thing. Okay. My documents. Where is that? I swear, y'all, I just had it. And it was in my Autumn Love folder. And now I don't see the folder. So let me double check and make sure I've got everything. There it is. Background quilting. Now I'm going to look for my chicken wire. Now we have in the hoop Quilt As You Go files. Let me see that. Here's your 2-inch, but that's all I'm going to get. So let me open that up. So here's a 2x4. Oh, that's not what I wanted anyway. I didn't want the chicken wire. Let me go back. I wanted the pumpkins, right? There it is. Pumpkins and swirls. Designs by Juju has so much stuff. Oh my goodness. Okay. 2-inch sashings. And I think, what is that one? See, I can't see. I can look down here. This is 2 1/16 by 4 1/16. Let me go to list. There we go. Now I can see. So here's a 2x5 horizontal. Here's a 2x5 vertical. That's what I want right there, because it's a 5-inch high sashing. And this is what it's going to look like. Okay. But it's still too big. So I'm going to click open. All right. So now you can see here in Embrilliance that this is too big. We can tell because we see the hoop is 1x5. That's what we need. And that we've got the size down here in red. It's way too big. The cool thing, one of the very cool things about Embrilliance is right next to the center in the hoop button right here, they have this button that is fit to hoop. And that's where the magic happens. So I'm going to click that. It's too small. That's okay, because it's keeping the proportion and scaling it correctly. That's okay. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to get rid of this line. Let me see which one of these. This is the placement line, tack down, outer line. I don't want that one. I'm going to hit delete. Okay. So I'm going to bring this down to the bottom of the hoop. Right about there. I didn't bring that line down. I'll work with that in a second. And I'm going to right click, copy, right click, paste. It pasted right on top of itself. And I'm going to use my arrows and move it up to the top of the hoop. Okay. Now you guys, look at that. That's perfect. Love that. Okay. And then this, you can change this size. And I'm going to do it up here to 1 by 5 and enter. There it is. This is still showing it's a little too big here, and that's okay. Let me click this. And I believe this is the problem. I think, I don't know. You can bring this in a tiny bit. Which piece of it? If you want to see which piece is the culprit, you can click on it and hide it. Yes, that's the, oh, I see there. Let me say this one here. I'm going to hit delete with my keyboard. Okay. Let me bring that back and unhide it. All right. It looks like we got it. So there is my pumpkins and swirls. We've used the tool in Embrilliance to shrink that down proportionately to make the design, and it fits absolutely perfect. Okay, so I'm going to come up here to view, and I'm going to uncheck draw hoop. There it is. Very good. I still can't see that. I need to lock and hide the selected objects. I wanted to undo that. Well, it'll still stitch. I've got it. I can't remember how to unlock that so you can see it. I'll have to play with it, y'all. I only know what I know. There's a way. Anybody know? Let me know on there. Right click. No, that's not it. Okay. So anyway, here we are. And it does have that stitch right there. It's got it, right? And I want that because that is my sewing line. I just can't get it to show back up on the screen. I know there's a way. Let me unlock that. Maybe that's it. Yes, that was it. So it fits. So I'm going to now, I'm going to file, and we'll do a save as stitch and working. I don't really need the working file because I'm not doing like stitch artist stuff. So I'm just going to save the stitch file, and I'm going to call it a 1x5 Autumn Love Sashing, and save it. So you can Control A or Command A on a Mac to select all, and right click copy, right click paste, and use your arrow keys to move it over. There's two. You want them at least an inch apart so that you have got half an inch of seam allowance in between them. Whoops, look at that. That's okay. Let me get that other one. There we go. So you got to play around with this a little bit, but it works, y'all. It works perfect. Now this is showing too large because it still thinks that I'm using a 1-inch hoop. In reality, I'm going to take these. Let me change my hoop to my 6x10 hoop. You can see down here at the bottom, 6x10, click apply. Okay, and okay. And I can't see it, view, draw. You can also use the H key and drag it down so you can see. Now what I would do, because I'm using a 6x10 here, you can, it's vertical, right? And I would prefer it be horizontal so everything looks like it fits. You can just click here at the bottom on hoop, or double click, should be, and it'll switch horizontal. Anyway, I just don't think it did that because I'm doing a screen share. Yeah, so this is easy. You can go ahead and do a whole bunch of these, right? Command A to select all. Let's rotate 90 and move them over. While they're selected, I'm going to click the copy button or right click copy, right click paste. They paste right on top. Let's move those up. This is how you get all of this done at once. Click this one and this one, this one. I'm missing something here, and move those down. I keep missing that other one. It's fine. This takes just some piddling, and you'll get it, you guys. Look at that. There's my sashing. There's 4 of them. And I can stitch those out easy peasy and have them ready to go and trimmed up. So good. Awesome. Newly Gan says, thanks so much, Becky. I was wondering how to do this. You rock, girlfriend. Y'all, I'm lazy. I'm going to choose I'm going to find the easiest way to do things in multiples if possible. So when I let's see. Terry says, when I save the hoop when you made it, why the underscore in the name and not the design? Because I used to work in the tech world, I know that computers don't like blank spaces like a space bar. So I'll always use a dash or an underscore in a naming convention. It just makes it easier for the computer to think, believe it or not. It really does. Well, thank you, Barbara. Awesome lesson. Yeah, cheap class, you guys, right? Love it. Not just lazy, working smarter. There you go, Midge. That's my girl. Yeah, so you guys just need to kind of think through that stuff. And will I show how to do the longer sashings in the hoop? Sure, Sandra, let's make one of those, right? Why not? We've got time. So you're going to do the exact same thing for the 1 by 22.5. The problem with the 1 by 22.5 is that it's got to be multiple hoopings, because I don't think anybody has a 22.5-inch hoop, right? So how would I do that? A 7-inch, because 3 times 7 is 21. We can make it a little bit bigger. You're going to have to play with those so that they fit, and the sizing of them will be so minuscule different from the 1 by 5s that you really won't notice the difference. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Y'all, so crafting on a dime with Shay says, don't forget to save this live so you don't go crazy trying to find it when you get to this part. Another thing you can do is on the YouTube search, you can type Power Tools with Thread, Autumn Love, Sashing, and it'll come up. Okay, the keywords are in the video title. That's always going to help you. Even though the thumbnails might look a little bit the same or real close to the same, your keywords for search are in the video title. You've really got to make the titles different for each video so that I do that so that my folks can go back and find the video that they're looking for. All right. Okay, so let's make that longer one, shall we? I really want this particular layout. Okay, and now I'm going to share an image screen and this and this. And all right, there we go. And let's go back to Embrilliance. So let's do a new tab. I'm just going to click the new button right up here. And I'm going to create a new hoop. Oh, first I have to go out to Mr. Google. Hold on a second here. To my inch to millimeter conversion. And I'm going to do my inch. I know what the first one is. And the last one is 22.5, that really long one. And return. It's 571.5. Okay. So let's do that. I'm going to go 22.5 on my little note equals 571.5. I don't trust my memory, so I write it all down. Okay. Let me pull this back up. Okay. And now I'm going to do my hoops. And I want a new hoop. Let's do it long. Okay. So I'm going to call it 1 by 22.5 Autumn Love sash. And then the width, I'm going to flop them around, is going to be 571.5. And the height is going to be 25.4, just so we can see it on the screen, what we're doing. And I'm going to tell it, apply. Oh, let me tell it okay. Now, I want to come down here to the bottom. It always throws the new one at the bottom. Okay. I'm going to tell it apply and click OK. So there we go. Let me see if I drag my little zoomy down. There it is. That's a long sash, but you can tell up here it's 22.5 by looking at the ruler scale. Okay. So let's open my sashing. So 2x8 is going to give me 3 of those is 24. I need to shrink down to 22.5. The 7 will give me 21. So 24 is what, 1.5 inches off? Yep. And 21 is 1.5 inches off. You see where I'm getting these numbers? 7 times 3 is 21. 8 times 3. Let me see. I could do 9. 9 is too big. 9 by 9. That's 18 if I use 2 of those. Here is, ooh, look. That's 22.75. Ooh, there it is. Right there. Look at the size of that sashing. 2 by 22.75. This is 1/4 inch too big. That's 1/2 inch too small. I'm going to use this one. I'm going to open. I'm going to rotate this. Let me rotate this 90. Huh. Okay. I want to get rid of, nope, click just this line. That's the inner line. I'm going to delete that one. There's the outer line. I'm going to delete that one. So now we have the pumpkins and the line. All right. Control A. I want to fit to hoop. It's going to make it smaller. Okay. We are within the hoop size because we are not yellow or red. Okay. So I'm going to take this one, and with my arrow keys, I'm going to move it. Now, the reason I use my arrow key is because it's better. It's going to stay right exactly where I want it. So what this is now, let's see. It resized it back down. Okay. And I'm going to right click, copy, right click, paste, and move the other one. So I'm just going to make multiples in this same hoop. Now, if you have to resize them, oh, you're not going to want to do that outer line on the second one. You're going to want to get rid of that because you don't want that stitch. Okay. I'm going to click this line, just the line. Hold on. And get rid of it. And I'm going to resize that first line to be where I want. Let me zoom in just a little bit and take a look at how close I'm getting. See, you can play with this. This is exactly like we did with the background quilting and the Happy Halloween quilt for the words. Kind of nested them together so they almost look the same, okay? Right click on this, copy, and paste. I'm going to move that one. I don't want to fiddle. It's going to drive me crazy. So I'm just going to move it straight over. Keep it in the hoop. Let's make it a little smaller. Oops, sorry, wrong way. All right. Right click. Paste. All right. I want that. I am looking right here to make sure that that is not outside of the hoop. You can nudge it with your arrow keys, or if you're savvy with the mouse, you can kind of get those stitches so everything is inside of the hoop. I'm sure there's might even be an easier way to do this. We've got some overlap right here. Okay, So this is where you can do some tiny bit of movement and get these so they don't overlap. It would take me some minutes, you guys, and you know, I don't want to do that. Or I could use a shorter one. Let's see, this one's a hot mess, right? No, not the second one. That one's too long. Let me delete that. Let me open. How about a 2x4? Maybe that will work. Open. Let me, right. Hold on a second. This right here. Right click, copy, go back. Right click, paste. I'm going to rotate it 90. Pull it in. See, it's a different scale of pumpkin. That's why you kind of have to play around. Let me fit to hoop. Where did that go? I don't know where that went. Now, another thing you could do, if you have Embrilliance Enthusiast, does Embrilliance change the density? No. Now, if you have Embrilliance Enthusiast, it has a stitch editor. So let's do this. Hold on, let me have that. Is that it? I need to see where I'm at, you guys. There it is. All right, so I can drag this. That's too small, right? That's not going to work. Or I could do another one and it would work. Now we're the right size on the pumpkin. So I could right click, copy, and right click, paste. Okay. So just make this work. Just keep playing with this until you get it to fit. So let's not do that. And let's not do this. Let's copy this one and paste. And I'm going to bring it over here. It's too big right there. And if you have Enthusiast, you can click on the Embrilliance Enthusiast icon, which is this stitch editor right up here. And look, you've got new tools. I'm going to use, and look, all of my stitches turned into little dots. This is why you want Embrilliance Enthusiast. A lot of, I mean, you don't need it for Snapplique, but it's very, very handy. So I'm going to use the free motion tool. Okay, we're going to get, I got to get way in here so I can see what I'm doing, y'all. And I'm going to start here, and I'm going to draw that free motion right through and just not capture the stitches. I want to get rid of all of the stitches that are inside of that hoop. Bring it around, highlight those, and I'm going to hit delete on my keyboard, and they're gone. Gone. And let me go back to select, and there it is. Look at that. Now you can play with this if you wanted that to be, you know, closer, or you wanted to maybe end it right there on the stem. You could certainly do that too. That kind of looks like it's hanging out in the middle of nowhere, right? So let's do this again. Okay. And I'm just going to highlight just those stitches that looked a little weird. Perfect. And hit delete on the keyboard. There. Now it's going to be nice and pretty, and that's how it'll end. Love it. I've never shown you guys that before. Look at that. That is fantastic. Now everything works. Yay. So if you don't have Embrilliance Enthusiast, you can just, I'm trying to get this whole thing in here. There we go. I think this will do that. Yeah. Okay. If you don't have Embrilliance Enthusiast, could you use Enthusiast and lasso the last pumpkin, delete, and make it fit? I don't know. Yeah, I guess if you wanted to play with it. So could I use the duplicate in Enthusiast? Yes, you certainly can. There's so many different options to be able to do what I just did. But here it is. I created a piece of sashing that is 1 by 22.5. Now, the last thing I would need to do, okay, is up here, this stitch. I want this stitch and to be at 15/16 is fine, or 1. Let me make sure that's open. And I want this to be 22.5. Enter. There it is. Oh, it didn't do it. Here. I'll make it bigger. We'll make it fit. Anyway, I'd have to play with that. But you guys get the idea, okay? Oh, it did do it. It just is off screen. I see. Let me grab that. And I'll use my arrow keys and move it. Let's see, maybe I can grab it here. There. And I messed with it and made it too big. And okay. Now it fits in the hoop. I'd have to go back and play with this a little bit. It looks like I'm out somehow or another. This is what happens in Embrilliance. If you make too many steps and you haven't saved and things are, I made a whole hash of it, but it's fine. You can Command Z, Command, there we go. It's got itself all jumbled up, doesn't it? That's okay. I'm going to get out of this because I've confused it too much and given it. When I've been making my background quilting, I've just been deleting all of the boxes and make sure it fits within the box. Is that okay? Absolutely. Now that box is a trim line for me, or actually a stitch line. I'm going to stitch just inside that box. That's me. But so depending on, right, Star, right. You need to, now you need to know how to turn it into a split hooping. So in Embrilliance, well, Enthusiast has tools for split hoopings, but the way I do mine, because I have a camera on my system, is I will float. So you cut a piece of fabric large enough, obviously, and stabilizer large enough for the whole thing, okay? And then you stitch the first part in the hoop that you can. And then when you finish, you can use, you can like, how do I want to phrase this? See, because I messed that up on Embrilliance, I don't want, it's hard to show you guys. You can take that, the last couple, right, that you did, and copy those onto a new tab to create a new embroidery design. And then print that page, and it'll give you the crosshairs, trim it out, and line it up in your hoop. This is if you don't have Enthusiast. Line that up exactly right. Okay, and then get your needle right over that crosshair to start. And then before I start stitching, I always go to the very first stitch. I use the needle plus minus button and go jump ahead one stitch so that it goes to the beginning, and then make sure that's exactly aligned. I do this too, Katie's Quilts. When I get it confused, I go back and start over. Yeah. You know, I was even in Lisa Shaw's Embrilliance class, and she got like late in the afternoon going through, and Embrilliance, it gets tired, right? A lot of software will do that. It gets tired, and then it does kind of crazy things. But anyway, so, all right. Well, I hope that was helpful. So now we covered how to create new hoops in Embrilliance to fit exactly the sashing that you want, and then how to use the fit to hoop button to make your sashing fit exactly how you want, and then how to create the super long sashing. I think that works, right? Yep. So yes, you do need to purchase Embrilliance, Marsha. How on earth are you doing your embroidery without it? You're welcome, Star. You're very welcome. Yeah, so during the next Embrilliance coupon, when that comes out, you guys, you definitely want enthusiast. And I will do another video showing this exact thing to show you why you want it. That stitch editor is amazing so that you can do that. But you guys, be sure to give the video a thumbs up. There's over 650 watching. So I hope I get that many thumbs up. If you're watching on your TV, grab your TV remote and hit the channel up button. That works as a thumbs up. Or if you're watching on Hulu or something like that, there's a thing. I know, so people have told me that. And go ahead and subscribe. Lots of goodies we learn on here. I think I got the smartest bunch on YouTube, right? So yeah, if you have Floriani, Cassie, absolutely play with that as well. Resize your hoop. But you know, even if you're using different software, the process steps are the same. Create a new hoop to use so that's exactly the size that you need. Resize to fit your hoop and then make multiples of that. Okay. But all right. Well, you guys, this has been fun. I'm going to continue to do a lot of these and get them all ready on. I'm going to save them to a USB so I can take them home, put them on my 10 needle, or I even have a bigger hoop on my luminaire, right? And come on back tomorrow. I think next Friday, I'm going to be home and we will do a giveaway Friday. How about that? That'll be fun. I think that's going to be the 15th. Next Friday, we're going to start giveaway Friday again. All right. I love you guys. Thank you so much for spending your time with me. You guys make my day. We'll talk to you soon. You guys go sew something. Bye.